At the NFL Scouting Combine here in Indianapolis, he is Connor Rogers. I am Connor Hughes. Connor, one of the consistent things that we've had to discuss over the last few years, certainly as long as Robert Saleh has been the Jets head coach, it was this defense. It was always, after that first year, going to be performing at a top 5, top 10 level. You knew what you were going to get out of them. Production might be the same, but it's going to look a little bit different. Steve Wilks is now this team's defensive coordinator, working underneath Aaron Glenn. Talking to a couple of people familiar with his scheme, comparing it to Saleh's, they said it's going to be a lot more man coverage. It's going to be a lot more blitzing, which means that it could be a lot more opportunities for Sauce Gardner to be one-on-one with an opponent's number one receiver.
And Connor, we heard Aaron Glenn at his presser talk about the need for speed and length when evaluating cornerbacks, so that goes into that as well. But Sauce Gardner, it's just more on the play, right? It's the ability to travel or take on the team's number one wide receiver, and that opens up other areas for the defense to do things differently. Like you said, the pressure schemes, the ability to blitz, it's going to look different. It's going to ask guys, a little more of certain guys, where I think they'll also be maybe a little gap responsible up front as well, because we saw what happened to this run defense when they played a certain style last year.
Yeah, and that was what you knew you were getting with the Jets' defensive line. Under Saleh, Aaron Whitecotton, their defensive line coach now in Dallas, it was a wide nine front, pin your ears back, and attack. And I think that's why you saw Will McDonald thrive. I think that's why Bryce Huff thrived. I think that's why the Jets went out and got Hassan Reddick, hoping that he would thrive, although that absolutely did not happen in any way, shape, or form. It's going to be a little more read and react. You like that for Jermaine Johnson?
I do. I think with Jermaine, he's somebody with really heavy hands that could set the edge, and you need guys to be gap responsible in this defense. There was so many times where they'd overshoot their gaps, they'd one gap, they'd get overreactive rushing the passer and lose contain. Now you're going to have a defense, like you said, the ability to read and react, hold the point of attack, stop the run responsibly. Okay, now we got them into a 3rd and 9. Now we could pin our ears back and go, or we could blitz a little bit more. So will it hurt the sack numbers maybe for a guy like McDonald or Jermaine, whoever it may be, but could it lead to a better production from the unit overall? I think it's a move that they have to make.
Yeah, and I think maybe, especially these last couple of years, the defense hasn't necessarily undergone wholesale changes. You've seen pieces added, players drafted, but for the most part, you knew who the starters were going to be. That might not necessarily be the case this time. There's going to be some significant changes just because of the players that are no longer under contract. Jamien Sherwood, probably the Jets' most notable unrestricted free agent. I expect he and Jets his representation and Jets upper management to begin talking about where things stand, if they want to bring him back, things like that. Those conversations always happen here at the NFL Combine. But whether Sherwood's back or not, Jets still going to need another linebacker. They're going to need 2 safeties. They're going to need a corner. They're going to need interior defensive linemen, probably pass rushers as well, because Reddick's not going to be back, and you kind of want to have that rotation. How would you rank the biggest needs here on this defense?
I mean, they got to get a starting safety in free agency, because you don't want to go into the draft needing 2 starting rookie safeties. That's just a recipe for disaster. So they need to sign at least 1 starting safety, and you need a defensive tackle that fits the scheme, the alignments you were talking about a little bit better, Connor, next to Quinnen Williams, that once again can beef up your run defense a little bit. Doesn't mean the player's going to play 95% of the snaps on the defensive line. That world doesn't exist anymore in the NFL. But once again, somebody that, you said it's a scheme change, and that's going to kind of change the body types you have up front. You might have bulkier, bigger, 2-gapping kind of players that maybe can open up more space for a Quincy Williams running around behind them, or if Sherwood is back, another lighter linebacker. So, and then honestly, I'm really fascinated to see what they do with that open corner spot. Do they bring in a veteran? How much money do they spend on it? Do they let one of the guys internally that's been developing? We saw Quantez Stiggers get some action last year. Are they going to give him a shot in camp? So it's going to be really interesting to see how they play that, because at some point you do have to kind of budget shop a little bit in some of these areas when you have so many needs.
And the one thing when Joe Douglas was this team's general manager that he did not necessarily believe in was paying players after 3 years. He didn't want to set that precedent, because the belief was once you pay one non-quarterback after 3 years, every single player you draft, the benefit that you have of them playing on the rookie contract gets thrown out, because one player got his contract, the next player wants one, the next player. The Jets do have a couple players on this roster, Garrett Wilson on the offense, Sauce Gardner on the defense, Connor, who are maybe not generational players, but they should be franchise cornerstones. Speaking specifically on Sauce Gardner, a priority, and it certainly seems like Darren Mougey is open to doing this, the Jets' new general manager, is extending Sauce this offseason, rewarding him for 2 first-team All-Pros to begin his first 3 years, which certainly would not only free up additional cap space this year, but take care of a player that's bled for this team.
And you also, you want to send the right message to the locker room, right, and say, hey, this is a guy we're going to reward and we believe is a huge part of this foundation. Sauce and Garrett specifically, they're 24 years old. unparalleled.
Yeah.
So if you're not paying those guys that aren't even in their prime yet, who are you going to pay? And then Connor, another thing that was a struggle during the previous regime was they didn't get ahead on extensions, and sometimes you're projecting forward to save some money down the road. They waited till the final hour for Quinnen Williams. They've waited for the final hour for plenty of different guys. They did get Michael Carter extended early because when these guys get to free agency, the market is totally. I think they're going to learn that with Sherwood, honestly. I think when guys go to free agency, the teams have all this cap space, and the reality is a lot of the average players get paid like great players. So you want to get your business done in-house in advance.
This is a team, Connor, that's going to undergo changes on defense, but there are certainly a number of cornerstone pieces there in place already. Will McDonald looked like a star. Sauce Gardner as well. We'll see who the Jets add in free agency discussions happening now here at the NFL Combine and then the draft as well. For Connor Rogers, I'm Connor Hughes.